Boxing truth here. This Amir Khan Kell Brook situation has been one roller coaster ride. More latest twists and turns and latest round negotiations right now. It's a bunch of bullshit. More of the same posturing going on, especially on Amir Khan's side. Amir Khan, he just doesn't want to fight. Plain and simple. Doesn't want to take the risk in getting knocked the fuck out and being retired once and for all by his British rival in Kell Brook. And right now, Amir Khan's playing chess, playing games, trying to maneuver the pieces to get Kell Brook checkmated by having Brook fight his mandatory in Errol Spence. That's the play here. Amir Khan's already on record stating he wants to take an interim fight, a tune-up fight, in April before he decides on which big fight he'll take. Whether that's the Garcia-Thurman winner, which is his more preferred route, fighting an out-Heyman client, and perhaps fighting Garcia in a rematch with the chance to get revenge in that fight, or he can fight a much bigger fight, much bigger money fight, and also for bragging rights in all of Great Britain, to prove that he's the best Great Britain welterweight from Great Britain against Kell Brook, if he's to take that fight. And Eddie Hearn, he's in negotiations with one of the many fucking middlemen Amir Khan has, but just makes you wonder how genuine these negotiations are. Why isn't Eddie Hearn talking to Al Heyman for this fight? Why is he talking to this other guy that he's talking to, one of Khan's advisors? But Eddie Hearn's trying to make that fight next for Kell Brook, and it makes sense to have the fight next. I mean, both guys are coming off devastating defeats. Amir Khan got sleeped by Canelo. Kell Brook got stopped by Gennady Golovkin. Both are coming off injuries. So everything's even Steven here. There's really no advantages for either guy since they're both coming off stoppage losses. Both are coming off injuries. So why not just fight next? If anything, Kell Brook is at a disadvantage here because he already bulked up and beefed up to 160 pounds to fight Gennady Golovkin, and now to just drain himself back down to a weight where it's really not very healthy for him, not really very ideal, since he has to cut a lot of weight just to get down to 147 pounds. But he will do it for the chance that he's always wanted, and that's to shut Amir Khan up and prove that he's the best welterweight from Great Britain all along. He's willing to torture himself and take that task of draining himself to 147 pounds one more time if it's an Amir Khan fight. Amir Khan don't want that work. He's scared to death of a Kell Brook fight, always has been. And now he's just looking to see if Brook will fight his mandatory. And he hopes that Errol Spence beats Kell Brook, so where Khan doesn't have to take that fight. He could just say, "Oh look, Brook got beat again. He got stopped against Errol Spence. Why I need to fight him now? I could just fight the Thurman Garcia winner and get a strap, a unified belts, which is the preferred option for Amir Khan. It's not about money for Amir Khan. He's already made money. He's been successful in that area when it comes to his career. So it's not about money, but you would think he would want once and for all to prove that he's better than Kell Brook, but he knows he's not. He knows he'll get knocked the fuck out. Even though Brook will have to drain himself to 147 pounds again, I will still favor Kell Brook. He's just a better fighter, stronger fighter. He's the better boxer, bigger puncher. And really, I just want to see what happens in this scenario. It's an interesting situation. Where does Errol Spence fit into this equation? Because if Eddie Hearn can make this fight between Khan and Brook, he's gonna ask permission from the IBF to grant a special request to have Brook defend the IBF title against Khan, with the promise that Errol Spence will get his shot next. Now, of course, the IBF is one of the more strict sanctioning bodies, so they might not play ball with Eddie Hearn. They might say, no, fuck no, Kell Brook has to fight Errol Spence or he has to vacate the title. But now that Amir Khan's already stated that he's going to take an interim fight, a tune-up fight, since he's not confident enough in his right hand or his surgically repaired hand, whichever hand it is, now it puts Brook in a situation where he has to mold what he wants to do. Does he want to stay at welterweight since Amir Khan is still bitching out of that fight? Does he want to campaign at 154 pounds? Honestly, Kell Brook shouldn't fight at 147 pounds anymore. He should campaign at 154 since he already bulked up to 160 pounds and tested the waters 13 pounds north in the middleweight division. It's not very ideal to just drain back down to a weight where you already tested the waters at a higher weight. Look what happened to Roy Jones. Was dominant light heavyweight for a number of years, beefed up to a heavyweight to fight John Ruiz, then drained himself back down to 175, and he was never the same fighter. After his initial reign at light heavyweight and after the John Ruiz fight. But Kell Brook should take that chance against Amir Khan. It's a fight he always wanted. It's a fight he's always believed he could win. He's always believed he's been better than Amir Khan. But this put Kell Brook in a situation where he may have to prolong his stay at welterweight, but for a guy who's never really shown any interest in fighting him. Now, it really doesn't matter to me what fight happens. If Kell Brook fights Khan, cool. If he fights Errol Spence, that's cool. It won't be as big as an Amir Khan fight for Brook and Eddie Hearn, but Eddie Hearn will still put that fight on pay-per-view in the UK. He'll put that fight on pay-per-view between Brook and Spence if the fight does happen. They'll get favorable terms, and the fight will be a good fight. I would like to see that fight. It doesn't matter to me which fights happens. It doesn't matter to me if Kell Brook vacates it and campaigns at 154, because then that would mean Errol Spence will fight Jeff Horn for the vacant title, and that's also a good fight. So it really doesn't matter to me. But which fights do you guys rather see? Do you want to see Brook fight Khan? Do you want to see him fight Spence? Would you like to see Spence fight Jeff Horn? To me, I'm down for whatever fight. Doesn't matter. I think they're all good fights. I know Khan. I would like to see Khan get knocked the fuck out again. Doesn't matter to me. I would like to see Spence to take the challenge of fighting Kell Brook. I would like to see that fight as well. I would like to see Errol Spence fight Jeff Horn as well too. That's another good fight. So it's an interesting situation. What's going to go down with this IBF title situation, the Amir Khan Brook situation? Where does Errol Spence fit in the equation? But it's hard to predict what's going to happen. I know Amir Khan's not going to fight Kell Brook next. He's full of shit. He's probably never going to fight him. And Brook's going to have to make a choice. Does he vacate the title? There's rumors that he's already vacated. I'm not too sure about that. He's still listed as the IBF champion at 147. And Kell Brook's getting a lot of hate from the Spence fanboys, talking mad shit, saying why is Kell Brook reluctant to fight his mandatory now when he was so eager to fight his mandatories in the past. But these guys failed to explain themselves. Let me break it down for you. Who the fuck was Kell Brook going to fight when he fought Kevin Bizier? Answer that question. Who was he going to fight? Bradley was scheduled to fight Manny Pacquiao for the WBO strap. Danny Garcia won a vacant title against Robert Guerrero, then disappeared for 9 months, and ended up being in a bum fight against, I forgot the guy's name already. Whoever the fuck his name is. And Errol Spence left over. Took 9 months off and fought a bum. So, who was Kell Brook supposed to fight? Keith Thurman was MIA, was disappeared, injured. Didn't talk to the media for months. And then he reemerged and fought Sean Porter and took the rest of the year off after he called out Manny Pacquiao. So who the fuck was Kell Brook supposed to fight before Kevin Bizier and after Kevin Bizier? He was struggling to get fights. couldn't get any big fights. Bob Arum didn't want to send Tim Bradley to the UK. He didn't want to make a unification between him and Bradley because there wasn't enough money involved, especially since Brook is not a big name in the United States of America. Danny Garcia and Heyman have their own route. They have their own fucking plans. Keith Thurman fights once a year. So who the fuck was Kell Brook supposed to fight? Other than his mandatory, since none of the other champions were willing to fight him or come to his backyard. Look how much money they had to offer Jesse Vargas to even consider to coming to the UK. And he signed a contract, but Kell Brook ended up taking a much bigger fight, a much bigger challenge against Gennady Golovkin. And now he's in a position where he's a bigger name. He got the big fight. He was in the limelight finally. He showed his skills. Had some good moments against Gennady Golovkin. And now he's weighing his options. He's trying to see what's out there. He's trying to get a big fight. He's not interested in a mandatory fight. After that experience of being in a big fight, if he has to fight Errol Spence, I'm sure he'll take that fight. If there's not a big fight out there. But it's hard to say. If Kell Brook can't get the Amir Khan fight, then what's the point of him staying at welterweight anymore? If he can't get the Manny Pacquiao fight, he's not going to get that fight. It's not a big fight for Pacquiao in America. It's not there's other fights out there for Pacquiao, so it's hard to say what Kell Brook's going to do, since Amir Khan is going to bitch out once again from their fight. But I think if it's the right health decision for him to stay at welterweight, then he should fight Errol Spence. If not, if it's too dangerous for him to make the weight, then he should just move up in weight and campaign at 54. There's still good fights out there as well. But it doesn't matter to me which fight happens. It really doesn't. I'm cool with either scenario. Brook vacating and fighting at 54. Spence ends up fighting Jeff Horn. Spence might end up getting his ass whooped in that fight. He might get his ass whooped against Kell Brook. It could go either way. But I wouldn't mind the Kell Brook Spence fight. Not at all. But it's just hard to tell what's going to happen. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this scenario, this IBF situation, this mandatory situation with Errol Spence, and whether Kell Brook's going to vacate and finally just move up in weight and just pretty much just say, fuck the Amir Khan fight. He's never wanted to fight. I mean, if that fight doesn't happen, who's to blame? It's definitely on Amir Khan. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.